What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? You know, it's good to be back on my own channel. It really is. And, because when I'm representing Become a Living God, which, I'm going to continue doing video material for them and through them, but when I do material to represent somebody else, I feel obligated to portray myself as a professional. And when I know I can edit a video, what happens is I end up spending way too much time filming. I'm too tense, and I can't be authentic. I can't just simply sit here and talk to you like, a sorcerer to sorcerer or sorcerer to sorceress. It's more of an obligation than it is a matter of simply conveying information and teaching. So, it just feels good to be back on my own channel and talking to you guys through this medium with my shitty webcam and my do-rag and my house clothes. I like it this way. I want to bring up and talk about the nature of the Amesha Spentas, the nature of the divs. I want to talk about the war between us and the gods of light. Are these spirits aspects of self? Are they external sentient forces? Now, in the past and within the book itself, within Black Magic of Ahriman, I talk about how the divs are definitely dormant aspects of potential that lie within mankind. I also talk about how those dormant aspects of potential also exist within the void. So these forces are aspects of unlimited possibility, which exist both within and without. The goal through Kunda Yoga is to awaken these dormant potentials within the self, so that through the process of evoking or conjuring these spiritual forces, we can alchemically extract them in order to communicate with them, gain their wisdom, learn about their powers, and how we as human beings can exercise those powers. They can be compelled towards creating change within our corporeal life experience. However, that is not something that I recommend, especially on a regular basis. Evoking these beings for things like getting love or obtaining a job or obtaining or acquiring monetary gain, it's just not wise. And the reason is, according to lore, these are beings of backward understanding, and that's definitely true. But according to lore, they say that these demons will do the exact opposite of what you tell them to. That's not necessarily the case. It's more about the fact that they don't care. They don't care about the mundane life experience. They're not concerned with it at all. As a matter of fact, you experiencing hell on earth is an impetus for spiritual growth and ascent. And you see, if you perish from the earth, you are still liberated from the limitations of it. So, yeah. Within the book, I also talked about how the divs, the patrons of this tome, are also connected with dark matter. Dark matter is the building blocks of this physical corporeal plane. Within the shadow of Bundai Shin, I explained the gnosis that I obtained through my initial experiences with the spirits of this current, and how unlimited aspects of possibility were stolen from the void. And as they were brought further and further away from the nucleus of all that is, matter was created, and unlimited potential was compartmentalized for the sake of serving the agenda of Ahura Mazda, which is essentially to rule over something. We can say that Ahura Mazda is akin to the human ego. Now, with that being said, let me backtrack. Through Kunda Yoga, the goal is to reunite these specific, isolated levels of human consciousness we call chakras. If that is true, could it be that since the divs dwell within, first and foremost, could it be, if Ahura Mazda is akin to their human ego, could it be that the Amesha Spentas, or the angelic forces of the false god of false light, are truly energetic blockages that dwell within? What if these spirits are actually aspects of self-imposed limitation? What if the Amesha Spentas, Ahura Mazda, and all of his minions are actually emanations of our own perceived limitation of this 3D realm? Is that the case? Are we simply giving shape to and anthropomorphizing these not dormant but very active self-imposed limitations for the sake of destroying them? It's a very interesting question. And that is the case. That is the case. And it is still a very dangerous endeavor. Now, just like the divs exist within and without, it is also true that the Amesha Spentas are not just anthropomorphized energetic blockages that are created through our limited 3D perception of the world. They are also external sentient forces. Now, why is this? How is this? This can be true because it is not just our belief and perception of these forces that brings them into existence. They also exist as external sentient gods because of the invested belief of generations upon generations and generations of people. And so these beings are very fucking powerful because they are batteries of energy and the belief of their power. They have accumulated this for thousands of years. And so they are less dormant and more active. It's very interesting. But you see, in regard to the divs, as well as the Amesha Spentas, the Deva Yasna, and the forces of Ahura Mazda, it still makes the argument of whether or not these spiritual forces, whether of darkness or light, are internal aspects of self or external aspects of divinity. It makes this argument a moot point. The warfare is very real, and it is the victory that counts, not the nature of the spirits, not what they are composed of, not their origins. None of that matters. All that matters is the results of the work and how it creates change within your life. And so even though I'm giving you a breakdown and a synopsis of the nature of these spiritual forces, but I'm also telling you that none of it matters. Because within this current, there are still way too many people that are placing so much emphasis on Ahriman and his emanations that we call divs, when they should be recognizing the fact that the whole point of this fucking book is to fulfill the human potential to produce a divine individual through an alchemical process, and to exalt the human being into something more powerful so that we can destroy the current paradigm of enslavement. That is really what matters. And that is what really needs to be kept in mind as you're performing the work upon the path of smoke. Because if you cannot stay centered in your God self, these very primal potentials that are dormant within will sway you from the path of becoming, because it's the fastest way to liberation. It's the most effective way, is to just take the person out. There is a level of danger here. Am I saying that death is, undeniably going to happen? No, that's not the case. I'm just saying there is the potential that the person be psychologically destroyed so that the consciousness is just not there. You have to stay centered in the fact that this work is about becoming divine yourself. Like I've been telling most of my students, the key to this current is to remain centered in self without becoming self-centered. And so, understand that the consequences of losing battles within this war occurs on their playing field, just like the divs who are connected to dark matter. The Amesha Spentas are very much connected to the corporeal life experience. They are connected to matter. And so when you get your ass handed to me in these spiritual battles, I've gotten my ass handed to me. When you get your ass handed to you, the consequence occurs here, first and foremost. And this is the kind of magic that manifests with an intensity and speed of anything else that I've ever experienced in my life. And when this occurs, it is very easy to try and jump into the circle of counter creation and fix everything that's going on through sorcery and magic. And that's the wrong thing to do in this case. You have to remember that we are spiritual beings that are trying to regain control of a corporeal life experience so that we can merge these two planes of existence. So the last thing you want to do is start applying too much spiritual work within this corporeal realm. You cannot win these battles that way. When this occurs, what needs to happen is you need to harness the three evil principles of evil thought, evil word, and evil deed. You have to take control. You're going to take some hits, but you have to fight. And this is where harnessing the blackened fire of Zohak is so important. Again, I'm getting down to the fact that the most important God upon the path of smoke is the apostle of Ahriman. It's the practitioner. It's the individual who is refining themselves through this work so that they can become a conduit for the powers of these divs to crush and destroy the paradigm of limitation that we are currently oppressed by. Whether that limitation exists because of governmental control or the perceived power of that control, whether it exists as external oppression or whether that exists as self-imposed limitation. Again, this does not matter. What matters is creating change. Well, okay, I hope that was informative, and I hope that sheds light on the nature of the war between darkness and light as it is presented within this book, because this is the first grimoire that I've ever seen that approaches dark alchemy in this way. The work is revolutionary and it produces profound results, and these forces do make themselves objectively known extremely fast. Devour, destroy, become or be crushed. Kurtis Joseph, signing out.